What's up guys, Justin here with TheSketchUpEssentials.com, back with another SketchUp rendering tutorial for you. So in today's tutorial, we're going to go through and we're going to use Twilight Render, which is the program I've chosen to teach all my rendering tutorials in to create our first exterior rendering. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. So first thing is, if you need to download a copy of Twilight Render, you can go to twilightrender.com and download the hobby version. That is going to be free, so everything that I'm showing you here can be done with free software. So let's go ahead and just jump into this. So first thing is this is a model that I've downloaded from the 3D warehouse, so I'll give credit for it down in the corner here, but it's just kind of a base model, nothing special about it from a material standpoint or anything like that. And we're going to go in here and we're going to create an exterior rendering of the building. So I guess the first thing to kind of go through is really the way rendering works is you have to set two things. You have to set your lighting and you have to set your materials. So that's basically what we're going to walk through. So first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set your first point for your kind of viewpoint that you want to look at your model from. So in this case, I want to stand in this corner and look at the building this way across the pool and all of that. And so probably the best way to do that is going to be to go to your large tool set and click on the position camera button. And so the position camera button means that you can click anywhere in this model and it'll automatically set your camera to that point. And you can see what it does is it switches your cursor to this little eye, so then you can click and drag and move this around just like this. So you can also kind of move yourself around if you want to by holding shift and clicking that center mouse button and dragging to kind of pan your view. But in this way you can kind of set your view so that you can see what's going to be visible in your view, just like this. So kind of set like a general first view, and we can adjust it later, but so that you can see what you're going to have to come in here and adjust. So once you've done that, go up to the view animation section and click add scene, and basically all we're doing is now I can rotate out of this and fly around this building and go change things and look at things, and then when I want to get back to my point I can just click on that scene 1 option. So there we go, so we're back there now. So and then the other thing I'm going to do, at least for right now, is I'm just going to adjust my style. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to turn profiles off, and all that means is that my model will load faster. I'm going to go ahead and update my style. We can come back in and fix that later, but it's just going to be faster for me to move around in this case. So one thing I'm noticing in this model is this stone doesn't really wrap around this building, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that just a little bit, just like this. So probably I'm just going to use the rectangle tool, draw a face along here, and we'll pull it out a little bit. I'm not sure. Let's see, it looks like this is 2 inches, so I'll just pull this out. Actually, I'll apply my material first. Like this. And then I'll pull it out 2 inches, just like that. I'll do the same thing here. I'll erase this line. I'll add this to the top right here and we'll be good to go. So now that's kind of adjusted so that everything's uniform and it kind of does what it's supposed to do. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're basically going to work with our materials. So you're going to go to the Twilight Render toolbar up at the top, and you're going to select this option for template materials. And what you're going to do is you're just going to come in here, you're going to click this eyedropper, and you're going to pick a material. In fact, before I even do that, let's run a quick like preliminary render so you can see what this would spit out initially. I'm going to make sure I'm outside of all my groups in here. Alright, so we'll run a quick preliminary render just so you can see what this would look like if you didn't adjust anything. And remember, all Twilight Render is doing is applying actual light to your model, just like this. So we'll give it a second. So this is kind of what your rendering would look like if you didn't do anything else to it. If you just use like native SketchUp materials. You can see how some of these materials just aren't really realistic. Your water doesn't really reflect. Your glass doesn't really reflect, anything like that. So we're just going to come in and adjust some of that stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start off and we're going to open this material editor, and then just click the eyedropper and select the water. And then when you do that, it'll select the water in here and it'll give you kind of a little preview as long as this is a green checkbox. If it's a red X, just click on it and that'll turn the preview back on. But you're basically going to come in here to templates, material or liquid water, and that's basically applying a water template to this material. So if you give it a second, you can see what it does. It comes in here and it adjusts so that this looks more translucent and reflective and stuff like that. And so we're going to come in here and we're going to make a couple other changes to this. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the bump to SketchUp. And basically what the bump is it makes everything look a little rougher or gives it a little bit more texture. So instead of it being completely smooth, what it's going to do is it's going to use your texture material to make this more kind of ripply. So you're also going to come in here and you're going to turn off cast shadow under advanced, because you don't want your water to cast a shadow because it's not a solid shape. And then the other thing you're going to do is what you're going to do now is you're going to come in here and change the color from SketchUp to, you're just going to set it to white. So just come down to the very bottom and drag this all the way down, and that should set your RGB values to 255 all the way across. That just means that it's white, basically. So you can select that color, click off of it, and what it's going to do is it's going to adjust this so that it's almost 100% clear looking. So it's going to come in here, it's going to look 100% clear, and then what we want to do is we want to set our alpha really low. So in this case, we're going to set our alpha down to 3%, and you can see what that did is it made it very clear right here. And so it looks a little weird in your actual SketchUp model, but when you render it, it's going to look pretty cool. So now we've got everything kind of set the way we want it to be. Let's go ahead and close out of this, and we'll just do another quick preliminary render. And you may want to set this to a little bit smaller size, because the bigger you make this, the longer it's going to take to do this preview. And we just want a quick preview in here of what this is going to look like. So set this preset to preliminary, set your size to something small like 500 by 500, then just kind of let it run. So you can see what that did is it took this water and it made it ripply and it made it reflective. So now you've got this cool reflection of your building right here. So what it's doing is it's seeing what the light is doing when it bounces off of the water. So that's why you're getting this reflection in here. So we'll start with this for right now. And this is basically what we're going to do to keep working with our render. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here and we're just going to start adjusting other materials in our model. So we'll close that out, and what we'll do is we'll just start adjusting. We'll probably start with this glass right here. So the glass right now, you want to come in here to templates, glass, common, and common seems to be the material that you're going to use the most when you're working with glass. So we're going to do kind of the same thing that we did before. We're going to set the bump to SketchUp. We're going to set the color to white, and it should show up down here at the bottom now because you've already selected it once. So just come in here and set that. Turn off cast shadows again. You don't want your glass to cast shadows. And then you're going to want to turn your alpha down again. So set that to something low, like 1 or 2 or even 0. So all that's going to do is that's going to let a little bit of color shine through if you set it to more than 0, but not a whole lot. So now you've got your bump, your color, everything in here. So I think that's all we need to adjust on this one. So now we'll just do this one more time, just to give you kind of an idea what that's going to do. So now when you watch the glass in here, what it should do is it should start reflecting some stuff. And you can't see it very well, but you can see that this has this in here as a translucent material now. So it does have that in there as the glass. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to keep coming through and adjusting some materials. So now we're going to want to select this tile right here. And then you're going to want to come in here to templates, tile. Probably for this tile, it's probably pretty glossy. So select the gloss option, and you can see that makes this shiny. Well, for something that isn't translucent, you're going to leave the color as SketchUp. You're going to set that bump to SketchUp. And if you watch what this does, that's going to take this from a super smooth material to something that's got a little more texture to it. So you can see how this does reflect, but it's not really reflecting the grout in between the tiles. I guess it is a little bit, but it just makes it a little more realistic looking. So we've kind of set our tile in here, so we ought to be good on that one. So now let's go in here and let's set our stone. So this is in here as kind of a tan tile, but what you're going to do is you're going to go to Templates, Stone, Natural. Same thing, set your bump to SketchUp, just like this. And you can come in here if you want to and adjust your refraction and your shininess. That's just going to affect how much light is going to reflect off of this. In this case, it looks like it's probably pretty good right now. So we'll come in here, we'll do kind of the same thing for this travertine tile on the top of your little wall right here. So you'll come in here and you'll set that to a stone, and we may set that. That's probably going to be a little bit more of a polished type stone. I think it's going to reflect a little bit more. And basically all you have to do with this stuff is just kind of try some stuff and see if you like the way the material looks. A lot of this is kind of trial and error in here. But I'm going to go through, set a couple of, you can see how this is a much more realistic looking stone material. So we've set that one. I think we already set our various tile. Yeah, we did. So we're gonna go ahead and set our roof. For our roof, I think for our roof, we'll just come in here and just set a basic flat. And we'll set this bump map in here. So just go to Templates, Flat, and then set your bump map, and we'll see how that looks. We may have to come back and adjust that a little bit later. So you can come in here and you can adjust your grill material. So go down to something like, oh, here you go. Go down to Templates, Metal, Stainless Steel, because that's probably a stainless grill. So you can set that to stainless. Again, set that bump map to SketchUp. So you should have kind of seen what I'm doing with this. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to set the rest of the materials in here. Generally speaking, I'm not adjusting anything to a super high level. I'm basically just coming in here, setting my color to SketchUp and my bump to SketchUp. So I'm probably going to speed this up real quick. And if you have any questions about the settings that I use, just leave a comment in the leave a comment down below, and I can fill you in on that. All right. So one thing I'm going to notice when you come in here and you select the side of the building like this, it's going to be a stucco texture. And so you basically want to bring that in as a stone natural object. That's going to probably be the closest, and then just set your bump to SketchUp just like that. So there's no stucco option in here, but just set it to a stone natural. So let's go ahead and run a quick render and see how that looks. So what you're going to notice in this is that all your materials are going to act a lot more realistically now. And your render may take a little bit longer. Just remember that rendering is kind of a processor intensive thing. So if you have an older computer or something like that, it will take a little bit longer. But you can see how now you've got kind of a shiny material here and a shiny material here, because these are a stainless. Everything else is kind of rendering the way that it should. I think I still need to come in here and set something for the stone. So let's go ahead, come in here, select this stone material, and we'll set that to a stone rough. We'll put kind of a bump in here as well. And I would say probably we need to turn our index of refraction down to maybe a 1.1. And our shininess maybe down to a 10. So you're not going to get a whole lot of, I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of light reflecting off of this stone in here. So. All right, so let's go back to our view. Let's do a little bit bigger preliminary render now, just to get kind of a better idea how this works. So now you can probably come in here and do something like we'll do an 800 by 800 and see if that gets us what we need. So remember, you're going to the render section of Twilight Render. You're selecting a render preset of preliminary in this little drop down right here, and then you're just going to hit the play button and let it render again. So anytime you go in here and you do a check, do it as kind of a preliminary first to make sure everything looks the way that you want it to look. So, and an 80 by 80 really didn't give us what we wanted. So we'll try that again. All right, so that gives us kind of a general idea of how everything's going to look when you come in here and you run this just like this. So everything's kind of acting the way that it should. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to come in here and we want to turn our shadows on. So just go over to the shadows section of your tray, just like this, and you're going to want to adjust the way that your model looks so that you can kind of cast some shadows on your building. So what you're going to do is you're just going to adjust this. You can adjust kind of the time of year and also the time of day to adjust the shadows that you get, just like this. So you can just come in here and adjust your shadows a little bit until you kind of get what you like. I just want this to kind of cast a few shadows across the faces here. It adds a little bit of interest to what we're trying to do here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to add a spherical sky. So to do that, you're going to visit a website called Kirkathea. So Kirkathea is another rendering program that's out there that you can use for things like SketchUp and everything else. But what it's got is it's got a really good resources section. So you want to go to Kirkathea, KERKYTHEA.net. You want to go to downloads and you want to go to resources. And in this case, we're going to download a set of spherical sky files. I believe you're going to want to download this one called CD Skies. So download that and put it in a folder where you're going to be able to find it and extract the contents. And then once you've got that file downloaded, you've kind of got all your materials set in here and everything else, you're going to come up to this environment editor and you're going to open that. So you're going to want to open environment editor, and your model will be set to, I want to say, either background color or sky color. I think it's going to be set to sky color. And so what you want to do, actually it may be set as physical sky. Yeah, it's going to be set as physical sky when you open it up. What you want to do is you want to click this drop down and you want to pick spherical sky, and then you want to go find that file that you just extracted. And so when you download that, it's going to come out as this folder called cdskies.global. You're going to want to double click on that, open the folder, and what this has is it has several different skies that it kind of puts, basically it wraps it around your model in here. So if you were to come in here and look at these as like actual images, if you were to open these are basically like panorama files. But what you want to do is you just want to select, we'll start with the first one. So double click on that first one, and what that's going to do is that's going to pop that up in your image right here. And so you can see what the sky is going to do to your reflection by looking at this reflective sphere that they have in here. So go ahead and close out of that, and then we're going to run another preliminary render. So remember, just easy presets, preliminary. You can make this a little bigger if you want to, but go ahead and just click that play button, just like this. So you can see what that's going to do is that's going to render your model with that sky in the background. So your sky shows up just like this. So, and it's also affected your lighting a little bit. So, but in any case, this is going to give you kind of a preview of where your shadows are going to be and what your materials are going to look like. And you can tell that it's not 100% done. Like some of these, they look kind of like almost like sort of shaded in here, but they're not 100%. And that's just because of the way that this applies the light. It's only going through and doing a couple different passes, and so it's not 100% complete. So, but this will give you kind of an idea of what that's going to look like. You can see how this spherical sky also adds like trees in the background and stuff like that. So it makes your model's location just look a lot better. There you go. So your preliminary model in here is done. So you can come in here and you can adjust a few different things if you want to. And it's a little hard to tell just by looking at this image, but probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to adjust the shininess of this water a little bit so that it's not quite as reflective or not quite as busy. So you're going to come in here, you're going to use your material editor, and you're going to click on this water. So you're going to select the water. You're going to bring this bump map down to probably like 0.1. So when I bring this down to 0.1, what it's going to do is it's going to make that just render a little bit differently, is all that that's going to do. So it's not going to look quite as rough. It's going to be a whole lot smoother and it'll reflect a lot better. All right, so now when I come in here and I adjust this and you re-render it, you're going to see a difference in the way that the water looks in this image. So it's going to build this environment and do all the ray tracing and everything else. You can kind of see what the progress is down here at the bottom. But what you're going to notice when you come in here and you do this again is your water is going to be a lot smoother. so it's going to reflect your building a lot better. So you can see how this is a lot more defined now with the lines reflecting off your water and stuff like that. So now we've got our building mostly set. What I want to do is I want to come in here and I actually want to adjust the viewpoint that we're rendering from. So if you click on this scene view option up here, what that's going to do is that's going to basically show you what out of this image is going to get rendered. So what you can do is you can adjust your viewpoint. Whoops. So you can adjust your viewpoint so the points of interest are kind of along these thirds. So that's just kind of a rule of the way that that images and stuff like that work, is if the points of interest are set at a third of your image just like this instead of in the middle somewhere, your images just look a little bit more interesting. So basically I've set my image so that the middle of this window and also this ladder are kind of right in the interest points just like this. So you can use this scene view to kind of position the view to get kind of what you want. So now what we're going to do is we've come in here and we've adjusted all of our materials so that it's kind of doing what we want it to do. We've kind of set our scene up, and I'm going to go ahead and add a new scene right here just so I can come back to that if I want to. So now all we're going to do is we're going to render our object. And so to render your object, you're going to come in here, you're going to hit the render button, and then you're just going to set your preset to an exterior daytime render. So that's a preset where SketchUp comes in here and it applies the light in a different way so that your exteriors look a little bit more realistic. So set this to an exterior daytime, and you're going to have to let this run for a while. So just know that when you set this, because this is basically going to go through and it's going to do multiple passes through it to make the light, to apply the light to it and to show what the materials look like. So set it to this exterior daytime and then hit that play button. And this is probably a good time for you to go for a walk or get a cup of coffee or whatever, but you just want to let it render for a while. I'm going to speed this piece up while it runs, but I'll just let it render and run for a while, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what it spits out. Alright, so what we're going to do with this image, you can see this has been rendering for a while, but what we're going to do is we're going to do a little post-processing to it. And so basically what that means is sometimes in your image you need to make some adjustments, but you don't want to adjust the actual physical parameters of what's going on in your model. Like, you don't want to make your sky brighter if you want to make your image brighter, because that's going to mess up the way that the light works. Instead, what you want to do is you want to use this post-processing stuff down at the bottom right-hand corner of the page. And so what you can do when you do this is you can come in here and you can adjust things like your exposure to make your image brighter. You can adjust like vignette, which will take the edges of your image and make them a little darker. And you can just adjust the way that looks. So like, for example, if you wanted this to be a little brighter, you could change your exposure to 1.25 or something like that. You could adjust the way that your gamma looks to get kind of a little bit more contrast in here. So you can do a few different things. In this case, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see, so I had my exposure at 1. I think I'm going to leave that at 1.25. In this case, I don't think we want to do anything with the vignette, because I don't think, well, I kind of like the effect that had, actually. So one thing that you need to know when you're working with rendering is you should just come in here and try some stuff. So, you know, try turning this vignette on and seeing if you like what it does to the stuff in the perimeter. Turn it back off if you don't, but we'll go ahead and turn the vignette on. We'll turn bloom on. So bloom is something that what it does is, if you look around the bright things in your image like this, what it does is it gives you kind of this fuzzy effect around the really bright things. So like, I could turn my vignette off to get a little bit more brightness around the perimeter, just like this. I could leave the bloom on to get a little more just a little more brightness coming off of this metal and stuff like that. So you can really just come in here and kind of adjust this the way that you want. You could adjust your color temperature if you really wanted to. I don't think this is going to be the right place for that. Yeah, that's going to make that more blue. But you can come in and you can make these adjustments while it's still rendering. So you can be messing around with the way that this looks while you're waiting for your render to get done. And then when you're done, what you can do is you can either come up here and you can click this save a copy of the rendered image. So in this case, I'm going to say exterior pool image. So you can save a copy of that. You can also pause or stop your rendering. So don't click stop unless you're completely done, because what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to come back in here and resume it. If you click the pause button, then you can come back in and tell it to keep going, because this will pretty much go indefinitely. So it'll just keep making passes through here and making things a lot more clear and stuff like that. But at some point you just kind of have to decide that your image is done, and once you've done that, you can click that stop button, you can download your image, and you can save it so you can go use it however you want to. So anyway, that's just kind of a general overview. I know this video got a little bit long. Leave a comment below. Let me know if there was anything that I didn't cover the way that you would like for me to cover, or if you have any questions. Rendering is just a lot more in-depth than just creating general SketchUp models, so it's a little harder to get through and make sure that I'm covering all the basics while also getting into some advanced stuff. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you liked this video, please remember to click that like button down below. If you're new around here, remember to click that subscribe button for new SketchUp content every week. If you really like what I'm doing on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Every little bit helps, even if it's only $1 a month. That just helps me keep bringing you great SketchUp content. But in any case, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.